Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. While the lesson is going on, kindly be quiet. You can mute yourselves. Okay. Today is a very important lesson. We'll be looking into nodes expansion. Okay. Yesterday we saw the technical criteria of nodes expansion. Today we'll be focusing on the examples, as I told you. And today's examples will be all based on fact-based essays, factual essays. All right. Now, as we discussed yesterday, the components of a good essay would be this: vocabulary and grammar, sentence structure, as well as maturity in thoughts and ideas. Okay. We have gone in detail about this. So, moving on. For introduction, we have 5 different types of introductions. Although you do not need to focus on all these 5, you can focus on statement, question, or proverbs or quotes, should you know any. Okay, you can just focus on 1, 2, 3. 4 and 5 is a bit advanced, so we would reserve that for Form 4 and Form 5. But you could focus on 1, 2, and 3, and then we move on to the next phase whereby we link to the task without revealing the task, and then we move on to introducing the task. Basically, the methodology of writing essays, especially a longer one, extended one, or guided essay, or notes expansion, would be the same. Okay, so that's for your introduction. Now, we have gone through this yesterday. As I told you, the way to develop paragraphs. We have main point, whereby the main point is stated clearly and with precision. We have elaboration. Okay, the main idea is elaborated well. Students are to widely exhibit their language proficiency through a detailed expression here. And lastly, we have the example. Thirdly, we have the example, whereby the main idea is developed with an explicit example, which is clear, direct, specific, and in-depth. So we can use terms or phrases like for an example, to exemplify, to illustrate, for an instance. And then we move on to a reiteration of main point, penegasan isi utama, as we discussed yesterday, whereby the main point is reiterated so that the candidate is able to show that he is intact with the main idea and has not deviated. So you can use words such as hence, thus, therefore, so. Okay, now we'll look at an example. Okay, we'll focus on an example. Now let's read this question. Amaresh, can you read the question, Amaresh?
Yes, healthy lifestyle has become the main concern of the teenager these days due to the changes that have been taking place in their lifestyle. As the chairperson of your school health club, you are asked to write an article to your school magazine on the ways to maintain a healthy lifestyle. In your article, use all the points given above, use the right format, and make sure your article is about 150 words.
Okay, that is not your word limit, but I would like you to write up to about 150 words. But for PT3, the stipulated word limit is 120. But you can definitely write more than that. Okay. Now let's look at the content points. What are the content points? What are the ways to live a healthy lifestyle? Amaresh? There are 4 ways, isn't it? Yeah.
Exercise regularly. You got to eat healthy. You got to reduce stress, and finally, you have to drink plenty of water.
Great, great. The way you have introduced the points is exactly how you write your main point here, whereby the main point is stated clearly, and then you elaborate and then you move on to the example, and finally you stress the main point again. Now I'm going to go into the technical detail so that you could see. Now let's look at this. As I told you, for PD3, for Form 1, Form 2, and Form 3, confine yourselves to either a statement or a question. And if you are sure, then you can move on to quotes or proverbs. Okay. Now, let's look at the sample of introduction. So I told you, I would want you to remember this. 1, 2, 3. So today we are focusing on a question, and then link to the task without revealing the task, and then introduce the task. Now let's see how it goes. Well, the example that I've given you may be a bit too elaborative, and that is okay, because I want you to learn more words. So this is definitely longer than what you are expected to write. Do not use the sample that I give as your yardstick to measure or to determine how long you should write. I've written a longer essay with probably a better language word choice so that you learn more words. Okay, and the method that I've used here for introduction is a question. Are you aware that with the advent of the technological advancements, teenagers have compromised their health and placed it at stake? Their current lifestyle, which is rather fast-paced, has relegated the importance of healthy lifestyle in their lives. This phenomenon has rather impacted the teenagers in a negative way. Hence, it is important to reiterate the ways to maintain a healthy lifestyle. There are many ways for teenagers to stay healthy. Now we have a question. We link the question to the fact that there are many ways to maintain a healthy lifestyle. And then we move on to the stage where we tell them, or we stress on the fact that there are many ways for teenagers to stay healthy. Now, let's see how we develop the content points using the MEER method, the MEER method. Now, these are the content points. Exercise regularly, eat healthy, reduce stress, drink plenty of water. How could we develop these content points into a paragraph in a tactical way using this method, MEER method? See, paragraph number 1, exercise regularly. First and foremost, the students must exercise regularly to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So the main idea, exercise regularly, is stated explicitly, straight to the point, no beating around the bush, and direct. And then you elaborate. Exercise is a very essential part in having our health at an optimum point, where we need to balance the intake of our bodily input and output. Example, to illustrate, we can do some cardio exercises on regular basis, such as jogging or brisk walking, to maintain our health. Reiteration of main point, whereby you repeat the main idea again, but you probably word it in a different manner. Hence, it is evident that a good health can be preserved by exercising regularly. Paragraph number 2. Main point again, besides exercising, we also need to eat healthy. Point stated. Elaboration. We need to be extremely careful and watchful of what we consume, as we become what we eat. Therefore, we need to pick and choose our diet carefully. Example. For an example, we need to abide by the food pyramid, which we are so often exposed to, and lessen the intake of trans fat and overtly sweet delicacies. Specific example, food which has trans fat and sweet, yeah. And then reiteration of main point, thus, we must practice a good supervision over the intake of diet we eat to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Paragraph 3, reduce stress. Furthermore, we need to reduce our stress level. We need to make wise discretion when it comes to managing stress. Although stress is unavoidable these days, we must practice avoiding, or at least lessening it, by sorting our priorities and let go of the unnecessary. For an instance, we can avoid getting entangled in superfluous relationships. So these are specific examples, and end up damaging ourselves with unwarranted stress. Examples of instances whereby we would get stress. Reiteration of main point. So stress in any form should be at least lessened, that is reduced. And lastly, paragraph 4, drink plenty of water. Moreover, drinking plenty of water is truly essential to maintain a healthy lifestyle. The composition of our body mostly consists of water. Hence, we should always replenish our body with adequate water supply. We need water to flush and rejuvenate our system, which is why we are fatally dependent on water. To example, we need to consume at least 8 glasses of water each day to keep us hydrated always. Reiteration of main point. Therefore, we need to be mindful of our water consumption at all times. So conclusion. To conclude, it is evident that the present teenagers have overlooked the need to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Due to this, they are vulnerable and hence face much repercussions such as health-related issues as well as mental ailments. The way to maintain a healthy lifestyle are, however, not painstaking and can be followed easily. Therefore, the teenagers will have to pledge to themselves to be health conscious at all times in order to obtain an optimum mental and physical wellness. I know this entire essay is far too long from what you're expected to write, number one. Number two, it may have a lot of grandiloquent words, bombastic words, big words, okay? Which is exactly why I have given you this piece of writing, so that you would make extra effort to go through the slides later or the video, pause, take down the difficult words, look at the way I have constructed the sentence, and try to emulate them. Try to learn and use them in your essays. Okay? For you can't find this anywhere else because I wrote them. Okay? All right. Now, let's look at another sample. Can I have a volunteer to read this, please?
Sir, can I?
What's your good name? Your name?
My name is Risha Dani.
Okay, Risha, please read. But make sure the sound, your background is very noisy. Hello? Okay, she's gone.
Can I read, teacher? Sir.
What's your name?
My name is Heyman.
Okay, yes, Heyman, please.
Disciplinary problems amongst teenagers is alarming. There are many reasons that could contribute to the unwanted phenomenon. Write an essay on this cause of disciplinary problems amongst teenagers. You may use the following notes to develop your essay. Lack of parental love and care, peer influence, social media, negative surrounding.
Okay, now I have something to ask. The first sentence of this particular essay, there is a grammar mistake. Who can spot it?
It's supposed to be among, not st.
Oh, that's fine. Among and amongst, that's fine. There is another very significant mistake.
Is alarming.
So it's supposed to be?
There are many.
What is it supposed to be? Disciplinary problems. Therefore, it must be isn't it? Okay, I'm very proud that you notice it. That is why I leave it that way. So yes, alarming. Very good. Now, continue to read the points again. What are the causes? Can we listen to the causes? Whoever read Heyman, can you read again the causes, the content points there?
Disciplinary problems.
No. the bullet points. What are the causes of disciplinary problems amongst teenagers? The points there.
Lack of parental love and care,
Mhm.
peer influence,
Right.
social media, and negative surrounding.
Very good. Okay, now let's look at the example. So I need a lot of volunteers to read. This is also going to be a long essay so that you could learn. Now, who could read the introduction for me?
Sir,
Yeah. Your name?
Rishadini, sir.
Okay, Rishadini. Please read the introduction.
Of late, we are often taken aback by the news relating to the baffling phenomenon that we are combating. The struggle seems to grow rapidly due to the seriousness of the matter. Another reason we feel so threatened is the target group that is involved in this issue are teenagers who are supposed to lead the country in the future. The amount of disciplinary problems among them is indeed worrying, and there are many ways to overcome these problems.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, paragraph number 1, it is following the mere method, but I have not put it in a table, but I've put it in the form of a paragraph, which is how you would also write in the exam. So, lack of parental love and care. Can someone volunteer to read? Can I have a volunteer? Or shall I call it? Yeah, go ahead.
The foremost reason is the lack of parental love and care. Parents these days are too preoccupied by the daily affairs and their obligation to earn money that they tend overlook their core responsibilities, which is with their children. For example, parents who work abroad, such as in Singapore, are rarely spending their time with their children that they are able to look into the personal progress. Therefore, disciplinary problems amongst teenagers are growing more rampant.
Okay, now there is a mistake in here. What is it?
The third line, they tend to overlook.
Exactly. They tend to. All right. Okay. Should you spot mistakes, you highlight, yeah? Let's see. All right. Thank you. Next paragraph. Who would volunteer?
Something.
Yeah.
I'm back first paragraph. In the third last line. And are already spending their time with the children that they are unable to look into their personal progress. Isn't that the answer?
Yeah. Such as in Singapore, are rarely spending their time with their children that they are unable. Yes.
Unable to look into, right?
Yes, correct. They are unable to look into. Very good. Okay, unable to look into their personal progress. Great. Okay, now. Next. Volunteer.
Sir, have a go.
All right. Thank
Besides,
you, PT3
friends-
students.
Sure, you're welcome. Besides, friends
No problem, sir.
play a vital role in the unbecoming of teenagers these days. Friends who are like-minded and have gone through the same upbringing will flock and influence each other to indulge in the forbidden things. To illustrate, the developing of habits like smoking and drinking right up to substance abuse would be done easily through influence of friends. Hence, friends play a vital role in disciplinary amongst teenagers.
Okay, there is
So-
a significant mistake here. Can the Form 3 kids try?
There's one in the second line. It should be friends who are like-minded,
Very
right?
good. Very good. That's very good for a Form 3 kid. Huh? I've left something like this in every paragraph. Let's see.
I think there's another one more, if I'm not mistaken. To illustrate the developing of habits such as smoking. What is it like?
Oh, like can be as such as. It is similar. It is to show example. That's fine.
All right.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. All right. Social media. Another volunteer. Do I have another Form 3 volunteer in here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Can you read?
Moreover, students also gain the idea to indulge in disciplinary trespasses due to the social media. Social media is surely a new yet powerful tool which is holding the younger generation so fastened in its grip. Almost every teenager has some form of social media account, and the influence it gives to teenagers is absolutely immense. For an instance, the social media applications offer various pages which have nudity and obscene substance, which would smear and stain the minds of teenagers.
So there is one significant mistake in here. The Form 3 kid, could you highlight? It's in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th line. The social media applications offer.
It's supposed to be without the S.
Exactly. Great. Offer. Okay. All right. Great. Now, negative surrounding. I suppose I'm running out of from Form 3 students. Can we have someone, a volunteer to try? Hello, do I have a volunteer?
Can I try again?
Yes.
Okay. Lastly, the surrounding of teenagers also play a strong role in the rise of disciplinary problems amongst teenagers. These days, the surrounding in which kids growing up and become teenagers is rather toxic and at all times dangerous. Social illness have become a strong part and parcel of the lives of the present society, that the kids that grow up to be teenagers are the ones mostly affected. For example, if a kid who grows up in an area which is violence oriented, the child would grow up to be a teenager who would compromise disciplinary problems. So disciplinary problems among teenagers are also influenced by the surrounding that they grow up in.
Okay, there is a mistake in here as well. What is it? Anyone to try?
Influence.
Why?
Sir, actually times dangerous.
Sir, affected. It's come E. Affected, mostly affected.
It is correct. It is correct. It is affected. Yeah, what was it? What was it? Another one? Another person said something about times.
Times dangerous, sir.
These days, the surrounding in which kids grow up and become teenagers is rather toxic and at times dangerous. What is wrong with that?
Actually, it's times.
Which
You're
one?
missing
Times,
a punctuation mark.
Oh, okay. We are talking about punctuation, is it? A punctuation here, is it?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
But there is another significant one, you know. I mean, I would take that as well. Look at this sentence, for example. This one. For example.
Oriented?
No, that's fine. For example, if a kid who grows up in an area which is violent oriented, the child would grow up to be a teenager who would compromise disciplinary problems.
Okay.
There is one unnecessary word here.
Compromise.
No.
Grow up.
No.
Who?
Very
It
good.
is oriented.
No. Who? For example, if a kid who grows up in an area which is violent oriented, the child would grow up to be a teenager who would compromise disciplinary problems. So the word who is not necessary. Now, if you read it, it'll make better sense. For example, if a kid grows up in an area which is violence oriented, the child would grow up to be a teenager who would compromise disciplinary problems. So disciplinary problems amongst teenagers are also influenced by the surrounding that they grow up in. Okay. Now, conclusion. Another one more volunteer for conclusion.
Sir, I.
Sir,
Yes.
me, sir.
The one who hasn't read. Who hasn't read?
Sir, can I try?
Have you read?
No.
Okay, you can try.
As a generalization, it is indeed true that the disciplinary problems among teenagers is certainly alarming and hence, immediate steps have to be taken to overcome the problem. If we take this issue with a pinch of salt, it will go out of proportion and we could reach a time where we would not able to combat the matter and our country's future would be at stake.
Okay, that's obviously one mistake. A very similar mistake to the first one, to the introduction. And these are the type of mistakes that you always make, and everyone makes. This, we call this the first draft slip, which is a slip indeed, and you would lose marks. As the generalization, it is indeed true that disciplinary problems amongst teenagers is. So, sir? Should we have it in singular or plural? We will look at the sentence later.
Plural.
No, see, it's certainly alarming and hence immediate steps have to be taken to overcome the problem. If we take this issue with a pinch of salt, issue singular, it will grow out of proportion, singular. We would reach a time where we would not be able to combat the matter, singular. So we will remove the S here. That makes the essay right. Are we clear?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now, your vocabulary. 5 new words: jettison, to throw away. It may look like it's like a second name of someone, but it means throwing away, to jettison the rubbish, to jettison the old SPM papers because the syllabus has changed. Jaded, bored, or apathetic after experiencing too much of something. Jaunt, a journey taken for pleasure. Jaunty, having a cheerful, lively, and self-confident air. Jejune, lacking interest or significance or impact. Okay, thank you. Any questions? I told you when we go through essays, it will take a lot of time.
No question, sir.
No questions,
Great.
sir.
No questions, sir.
No questions, sir.